Hi everyone. So welcome to our presentation tonight. Hope you will enjoy our topic. I think this topic is really helpful for you in the process of selecting employees. As in the future, you might be a hiring manager and you need to interview many people and you might need to be involved in the selecting employee process in the recruitment. So let's see what we can help you tonight. So here is the agenda for our team. So we need to, the case is about Marriott, the hotel brand. So we're going to talk about Marriott history, the case summary, and we will guide you through all the selection process along to the selection decision. So let me talk briefly about Marriott's story. So actually Marriott began with the guy named Wilbert Marriott. So he started an AW root beer in Washington DC in 1927, and then after that they shift the way of the business to the hotel business in 1957, and then after that the company grew a lot. So they keep acquiring other companies such as Ritz-Carlton Hotel, which I think you guys are already familiar with, and also the Renaissance Hotel, Delta, and also the Starwood Hotel. And this year, 2019, Marriott is ranked number 31st on the Fortune website that they are one of the best company that people want to work for. So basically, Marriott has 5 values in the company. So they want to put people first. That means they want to hire employee, put people first, and also they want to put employee as a people as well. So they want to hire people, hire employee, and take care of them. So when the company take care of the employee, then the employee take care of the guests. Then the guests come back and do the repeat business with the company. The second one is pursue excellence. So they want to be a great hotel with a great service. The third one is embrace change. So there is a lot of change in the world right now. So the world is moving. So the business need to keep moving also. So they want to embrace the changes. And with integrity. So every company have this kind of thing we call integrity. So we need to do the thing, action the right way, complies with the law and legal standard. And the last one is the serve our world. Not just only the company serve to the profit of the company, but they need to serve the environment around the company as well. The summary of the case. So the case I'm talking about the hotel industry and especially the brand Marriott. So basically in the hotel industry, it's really hard to find people to work because they're based on the hourly wage. So and involve of a lot of hard work. So that means people don't want to work hard and get less compensated, right? So that is the weakness of the hotel industry. And Marriott, they have the mindset of put people first, as I already mentioned, that they want to take care of the employees. So the employee will be happy, the employee have the career development, then they take care of the guests, then the guests come back to use the service of the company, then the company get the profit. And also they want to hire friendly, not just rather than hire technical people. So they want to train those people who have the mindset, take care of the guests, to be the technical people. In order to hire people with that attitude, they do the test on the personality tests with the candidates and also combine the test with the information they get from the interview. And the quality that they want in the candidate, they have 3 things. So they want to have trust, loyalty, and empathy in the candidate. Besides of the personality test, they also have another assessment which is not really included in the selecting process, but they have this game called My Marriott Hotel. So this game basically posts on their Facebook, and maybe someone who interested in the hotel industry, they can play the game, which is the game basically have many departments in the hotel. So for example, in this picture will be the kitchen. So the player need to play like serve the customer, and then when the service delivered, they get the point. But if it failed, they lose the point. So let's help the candidate knows like if they fit with this kind of industry or not. And this one is the website of the Marriott. So Marriott have a career website, which is they have a lot of information, including some of the people who have experience before in another field and they want to join Marriott. So they have the information that how to integrate that skills that they have before with the Marriott value and how to work in the hotel business.
Okay, after you guys have already listened to the summary of the case study, you have known that Marriott has been focused a lot on their selection process in order to get the people who want put others first. So let's see the briefly selection process. Firstly, Marriott will screen the applicant first so that from many ways such as their online applicant website, or the third party and the online platform that they create by themselves. And when there has been screened the applicant out, they will test them, just like Kate had been said, that they will do the personality test so that they can know that applicant is matching to the positions or not. And then after the applicant has already been tested, so the process will be going through the interview. For the positions that is quite the entry level, so the interview will be easy, just like phone interview and then face-to-face interview. However, for the position is quite high such as the managerial position, so most of the interview will be the STAR approach, in which the interviewer will be give the questions about the situations in the hotel so that the interviewee will answer in the solutions and give the result of the solutions. And then for the positions is quite very sensitive to the information such as the hotel manager. So they will be checked in details about their background. And thus, when they already check the background, they will know in which people is suited to their positions in the hotel. So after you already see briefly of the Marriott selection process, let's see Marriott selection process is the following the theory that we will talk in the next or not.
Let's move to the theory. Surprisingly, Marriott is adopting basic standard HR theory. For example, they start from seeing applicants' resumes first and then move to testing and reviewing work samples and then interviewing candidates and then checking reference and background and then make a selection. Everything Marriott adopted in their process has been shown in the textbook, so they are well following the basic concept of the HR. And then let's move to, so in order to understand the process, we should first understand the four concepts. Actually, these concepts are from statistics. For example, the first one, reliability. In the textbook, it says that the extent to which a measurement is from random error. So actually, I don't get what it means in detail. So reliability, the meaning in the textbook is very complicated. So let me show you the example. So for example, let's suppose that we are going to take an intelligence test, and the first one, right now we took a test. Right now the score is 90, and then tomorrow morning we took a test again. The score was 90, and then tomorrow afternoon 91, and the dinner in the night 89. And then the day after tomorrow morning, 90. And then lunchtime, 90. Which means that the score is very stable. Whatever, but we don't know. It seems like that intelligence test means something very meaningful. But we don't know what is this. What is something meaningful that intelligence test indicates for. So, anyway, intelligence test in this example means it has high level of reliability. it has something meaningful, but we don't know what it is. So we should check another one. Validity. In the textbook, it says that the extent to which performance on a measure related to what the measure is designed to assess. Very long and very complicated. Actually, it's very. Do you understand? Oh. So, I also prepare for another example. This one. Intelligence test, we prepare, for example, let's suppose that there's a two kind of method, intelligence test and GPA, and we are going to adopt these tools to predict the work performance in the future. So, for example, work performance and intelligence, and we are going to adopt another conception, which is correlation coefficient. It's also from statistics. So, for example, intelligence test and then work performance, they have correlation coefficient 0.9, which means that it's very relative. Intelligence test and then the work performance has something very closer, and then another one, GPA and performance 0.6, which means it's less relative to each other. So from this data, we can make a decision that using intelligence test is a reasonable, appropriate choice to predict the future performance. So, in order to measure the level of validity, we are going to focus on correlation coefficient. So it will help reliability, and it will support reliability at the same time. The next. Okay. So there are main three types in validity. The first one, criterion-related validity. So they're also divided into two conceptions. First one, predictive validation. There's a predictive. It means that the data will be used to predict the future data, and the current validation. So, for example, they are going to compare the current tools to measure the performance of the worker. For example, we can adopt GPA or intelligence test score. It's currently available right now, so we can adopt it easily to predict the future. And the second one, content validity. It's a consistency between the items or programs and the kinds of situations and problems, which means that the test, the method will be used to measure the situation or problems. But the problem is the situation and problem is very vague, and it's very hard to explain in numbers. Which means that in order to check the validity, opinion from experts is required. And then the last one, construct validity. This is very invisible. It's very invisible. It cannot be measured. And then, for example, I prepared for three main figures. First one, intelligence and skill and leadership. Let's suppose that this guy has a level of 40 in leadership. What does 40 means? What does 0 in leadership means? It's actually, as we took the class in the summer session in the last year, we also studied this conception. So, construct is very vague. It's invisible, very very invisible. So this is we are going to also compare the current score and the current to get the coefficient, correlate coefficient. And then let's move to the next. Okay. So we have checked the reliability and validity. Then we should also we should make sure to know about ability to generalize. It costs a lot to develop new tools. For example, MBTI, this tool has been developed by more than almost 100 years, and then they are totally protected by the copyrights by the organization in USA. The reason why they say that they have invested a lot of time and a lot of money to develop these set tools to measure the personality, so it should be protected by the copyrights. So it means that if we can adopt the same tool and then apply to various usages, it could be very efficient. And then so for this reason, it can increase efficiency, but cost will go down. And then the next one, the last one, practically value. So business is about. Actually, business is always talking about efficiency and productivity. If it doesn't make benefit, it is not profitable, it doesn't make sense. So for example, some tool is very nice, very accurate to measure the performance, but it costs a lot, and it costs more than the cost to recruit the benefit. So it cannot be available in the HR recruiting process. So we should think about utility at the same time when using the tools.
And then we're gonna talk about the job applications and resume. Employers gather background informations of the applicants at the beginning of the selection process. The usual way of gathering the background informations are asking the applicants to fill out the applications form and provide resume. And then the organization will verify the informations and checking reference and background and create well-designed interviews. This method will provide a lot of work for the human resources, so they are manage this problem by using the software to analyze the data and identify the contents, the application, which one who meets the basic criteria. They can create their own criteria which match their needs, or they can use the online job search tools such as LinkedIn and JobDB, which mostly used in Thailand, and another one is Indeed, maybe used in other countries. And then we're gonna move to the applications form. Application form we have to use for the ensure that the organization have the certain standard category of informations. Employer can buy the templates, or they can create their own form which match their needs. In the application form may include contact information, which is the applicant names, the address, the phone number, or the email address. And the second one is the work experience, such as the company that the applicant worked for, the age, the days of employment. And the third one is educational background, which is the university or the reward which the applicant have. And the last one is the applicant signature, to make sure that the information that they provide are complete and correct. But some company using the blind auditions, which means they using the company that will enable remove the details, some details such as the name, the age, the race, because they want to match the applicant to the position based on their ability and their skill. And then we're gonna move to the resume. The resume applicants should provide clearly and correct data, because the company gonna tend to reject the resume that have a lot of mistakes and unclear. And the resume should have the highlights of accomplishments that might not show up in the applicant's forms. The benefits of the resume for the companies to in a low-cost way to gathering the information and provide employer with the starting points. The organization use the resume for the design to which one gonna be the next one who meet the criteria of the organization and investigate further. And the drawbacks of this resume because resume created by the applicant so they can control the content of the information they provide and may be biased in the applicant way and may not be accurate. So we have to checking the background and reference and have the well-designed interview which gonna be further in.
Okay, now let's move to the references. I believe that everyone in this card has a chance to apply for the job, and then you have to fill in the applicant form, and then they often provide to ask you to provide the name of several references. So the importance of references is that your new employer can vouch for your ability and your part-time job performance. And references can be provided in letter, or maybe your new employer will contact directly to your old one. Though contacting directly may be time consuming, but the result of this effort will be the most one. So now let's move to the burden and the burden of a person who is a reference and how can we prevent from that situation. The first one, the burden is about the claiming defamation. Claiming defamation is mean that your old or your former employer provide two negative opinion that may be by making statement that cannot be proved truthful. And the second one is about saying something that too positive. That may be later the old employer later learn that it's not true, so they may be sued. Then now move to the prevention. The prevention, here are some examples that giving you for prevention from the burden that may be occur. The first one is about give as little information as possible, such as, for example, employment date or employee final salary to avoid any leaks in the future. The second one is about training for manager to avoid any board opinion that may be misrepresentation. The last one is about telling the candidate ahead about the reference check. This can lead to gather honesty and maybe can provide some provide some disclosure about the part-time job. So now we're gonna see how. So now we're gonna have a keep, because as you can see that the references is quite a popular process that HR use for recruitment. So this lead to incorporate the fake references, which fake references company is a company that providing to turning the old resume into the verifiable resume. So now we got to see how it works.
I'm Shauna Hunt in the Financial District, wondering how far have you gone to get a job? So one particular question we've been asking today, have you ever faked a reference on a resume to ensure that you get that glowing review? Well, it turns out more people do than you may think. In fact, some are paying big bucks in an effort to up their chances of finding employment. So Altman Research, it says there's the homepage. Here there's an About Us page. It even talks about its products, a flashy website, employee profiles, even LinkedIn pages to make it look more legit, not to mention a former boss who will provide that glowing review. It is a made-up company. It's completely fake. This phony website is reportedly one of 200 that was created by the Ohio-based online business CareerExcuse.com. This is where people pay up to hundreds of dollars to beef up their resumes. So what kind of people are using your services?
Anywhere from a bartender to vice presidents of Fortune 500 companies.
The company's founder, William Schmidt, claims they have thousands of clients and that 30% of their business comes right here from Canada.
The majority of the reasons are gaps in the resumes. Someone may have had 5 or 6 jobs within the last 5 years.
So you don't think that your business crosses that ethical line in any way?
A lot of people, I think, have used friends and relatives before. There's been hundreds of different stories that I have heard where people can't get the references that are stopping them from abandoning their jobs.
So now, as we can see that fake references is one issue that HR have to deal with. So it's not only the reference check that HR have to manage. So HR have to find another alternative way to recruit the person who really fit to the organization. So, for example, for this slide is about the background check. Background check is the alternative way to verify that applicants are as they represent to themselves to be. For example, like criminal background check. Criminal background check, there are some positions that so sensitive, such as like maybe in some country there is a law that may even limit the occupation that such person cannot do in that country. For example, like if someone commit like the domestic violence, then may not can related to the firearms, something like that. And the second one is about the credit check. Credit check is sometimes is quite seem not too unfair for a person who really want to find a job, because if in the crisis time or maybe in a high unemployment, because if it's worse financial situation, this gonna lead to harder to apply for the job. And the last one is about the train channel for background check, because in nowadays they are escalating trend to use the social media to recruit or to recheck the employee background. So now we have some video clip to show that how is the social media can play a role in the hiring process.
Before the rise of social media, candidates didn't have to consider their digital footprint when applying for a job. Today, social media is becoming an important vetting tool in the hiring process. And a job seeker's social media presence can either help or hinder their candidacy. While many employers casually review candidate social media profiles, 18% are formalizing this process. Another 17% say they're considering doing so in the future. As social media activity becomes increasingly important, what are employers focusing on? 39% of hiring managers say questionable content or behavior is the number one thing they look for. Another 27% say active engagement in professional or trade associations throughout a candidate's social media presence is second on their list. 19% of companies also report that offensive social or political views are analyzed. So how can you, as a candidate, leverage social media to benefit your recruitment potential? Work on building your social networking skills. A lack of social media presence can hinder your candidacy. Keep a clean profile and avoid politics if possible. Also, make your personal life only accessible to friends, or consider creating a secondary professional account. Learn more about these insights at mrinetwork.com/reputation-management-study.
So now I think this one is useful for you guys, and then I think when you are looking for the job, maybe you will be more carefully and trying to avoid not posting yourself in public, so that if you are really an alcoholic person, but not post in public. Okay.
Let me just start from today. I try to clean up everything in the past. This is just, because this is your image. And try to act like anybody can look at your profile, not just your friends. That's probably the safest way to do it.
Okay, ขอบคุณค่ะ So now let's move to employment test and work sample.
Okay, after the organization identify the candidates with application and resumes to meet basic requirements, the organization will continue to the selection process. That the next step is to gathering data 1 or 2 employment stage, and this
divided into two broad categories. The first is aptitude test, that it is to evaluate how well a person can learn or acquire the ability and skills. Example is a verbal test like spoken and written language. The numerical test like mathematical calculation and perceptual test, and also spatial test like the sequence of picture. The second is achievement test. This test is to measure the person existing knowledge and skills. Okay. The next one, if we divide the test into 6 categories, it will be provide the physical ability test, the cognitive, the job performance test and work samples, personality inventories, honesty test and drug test, and the last one is medical examinations. So let's see in detail in the next slide. The first test is physical ability test. This test is used for evaluating the performance or the avoidance of injury to safety hazard. It can be tested by muscular testing such as the endurance, flexibility, balance, tension, power. For example, if we have to hire the workforce in the factory, maybe they should choose the one that have a power like pushing, lifting, pulling, or have a power to remove some big things to another place. And the advantage of this test is accurate prediction. For the disadvantage is it can cause discrimination because it is not include women and the people who is disabilities. Moreover, it is less popular nowadays because this era is the innovative and the technology that always change. So this test is not preferred for this period. The next is cognitive ability test, or it can call intelligence test, or the short word is IQ test. I think you are all passed it before. Okay. The cognitive ability test is for measure the mental abilities, like a critical thinking and abstracting the reason ability. It can be divided in the 3 skills. The first is verbal skill, that is involving the written and spoken language. And like spelling, the word completion, comprehensive. And the second one is quantitative skills, that it is about the mathematical calculation or arithmetic, like a CU-based test before we register in this course. It covers like addition, subtract, calculate the fraction, percentage, or maybe maybe number of sequence. And the second is reasoning abilities. It is a skill that think for the solution from the problem. And the advantage is low cost. The disadvantage is legal issues. This increase from using the test in the past that affects from the African Americans. Okay, next slide, let's see the example of cognitive ability test. The left side, verbal skills. The question is about the word complete, like a spell incorrect word. So the answer is revise and feasible in this one. And the middle question is about quantitative skills, like a skill based in mathematics part. Okay, and the last one is abstract reasoning abilities. It is about the relationship of the picture. So if the problem is the left side, the answer will be the C choice, the choice C, because you can see the relationship of clockwise 90 degree. So the answer is C. The last one is job performance test and work samples. This test is to measure the specialized task performance, such as operating some machine or handling the telephone calls from customers. Sometimes the candidate involve the sample of work or show their existing working. And the most two important evaluation is about the problem-solving ability and the interpersonal skills. If we combine the several methods, it will help increase the validity of this approach, like Opa said before. In addition to select managers, we may take the form of assessment center that there is wide variety of specific selection progress that can use multiple selection methods to rate applicants on their management potential. So the advantage of this test is about fairness because the applicants can have a chance to show their perform. And the second advantage is avoid discrimination because they can focus the skills more than credentials. And the last one is specific job because we have to test like a problem solving ability that is specific for the job, like for example R&D that have to test the knowledge about the technical skill. And the disadvantage is this test is more about suitable problem solving skill rather than identifying particular skills. And the second one is expensive because it needs to develop of different tastes. So the way that we can save money is to develop the taste online that can generate into the other locations automatically. And the rest two methods you can see from the ES card.
After you know the first three methods, right? The next one is the personal inventory. In other words, this is a personality trait. I will use the Big Five model to help explain the traits. So, for example, the extroversion, right? The people who have a high sense of extroversion tend to be good at a sales job because these people mostly they can get along with people easily and they can make friends super fast and they can make people like them. When people like them so much, they will buy the product from them. So that's why these people that have a high sense of extroversion can excel at the job. The another one is the people with a high sense of conscientiousness. This one mostly related to the manager level that for the people that have high sense of self-control, goal-oriented, or more organized, they are good at to achieve their goal in the higher position in the organization level. So how can we measure the personality trait of the people? We use the personality test to help measure all the traits within these people. How? We just give them the question and let them answer all the question and score them. So, but this test, there is a pitfall that mostly will occur that because the test is not the intellectual test that, for example, the intellectual test is about the mathematical skill or engineering skill. If you don't know, you can answer the question, you can't. However, in the personality test, when the people they know that this is the sales job, they can predict the answer and set the answer that they can answer to match the personality trait for the job. And moreover, when the same people did the test again, they can gain higher job because they know how to answer. So how can we solve this problem? We can increase the effectiveness of the personality test by bringing in the trained interviewer or the people who has more experience in interviewing people. They can ask the right question and get the answer and examine or the answer of the candidate. and we can collect data from several sources. For example, from the Facebook or LinkedIn or even the references that we get from the resume and combine everything together with the interview. And the most important thing is we have to let the applicant know that we will collect and use many sources of information to evaluate them. Because when they know that we will use many kinds of it, they will do the test with the more correct information. Okay. The most popular personality test is that we know it. I will give only two examples. Just the Big Five that I will explain, and the MBTI that we already studied in the last class, in the leadership class. So how can...
Speaking of the class that we just took, we talk about Big Five, and the one that's true. Actually, this is all Big Five, but they use different terms. So, do you recall the term that we use? For example, is it of adjustment? What is the term that we use in the last first and also inquisitiveness. Anybody remember?
It's neuroticism.
What? We use different terms. Some of these extrovert same, but adjustment different, right? Agreeableness, yes, same. Conscientiousness, same. But inclusiveness, different. So in the other one, from these five, there are two that different from last time. My question is, do you still recall what we used from last time? But actually, them all the same as Big Five.
I cannot remember.
Anybody remember? Yeah. Very good for. Oh, very good. Okay, fast. That's one to change.
Okay, sure about that. Okay, but how can we apply the knowledge of the personality test to build a team, right? So if we want to build a team culture to promote the creativity or the debate gets the best idea, we have to select the people that have different personality traits. Or if you want to promote the homogeneous team, you have to select the people with the same trait. Okay, let's move to the next one. This is the example that I get from the website. This is an example of the test of the Big Five. You can see that there is a level that's agree, neutral, disagree, right? So the question is in the first row. For example, if you are I am the light of the party, that if you are the person who really like to go to the party, you will agree. And if you don't, you will disagree. There is a level of the answer. So I feel a little concerned for authors. Maybe I'm not because I am an introvert people, or if I agree because I am the extrovert people. After the candidate complete all of the questions, the firm will see the result here that if they get the higher score of the extroversion, they tend to be good at the salesman or the job that require interpersonal skill. Okay, let's talk about the honesty test and drug test. The most well-known test is the paper and pencil test. There is a common idea about this test is they will ask the applicant up toward attitude toward test, and the next one is they will ask applicant about their own experience about it. For example, if the company has the sick leave 30 days, right? So how they use the sick leave, because some people may take it at a sheet, they can take the leave whenever they want, but actually they are not that sick. So and then in the textbook also mentioned that the test can predict the test behavior of the candidate. I have one interesting news about the fraud of employee in the some banking in Thailand, in the northern part, in the branch of the remote area from the Thai, right? There is a grandpa or grandmother or a aging parent, right? They go to and they want to deposit their money for their retirement or anything. So they do the same thing for many times, right? However, when they check the money, right, the money doesn't go to their bank, and they report to the bank what happened with their account. Either the system is wrong or something. So finally, the bank answered the question that there is fraud in our bank, the teller, that they did not deposit the money correctly, instead they keep the money by themselves. So this is the case that I want to address, that only one person that dishonesty can ruin the reputation of the organization. So next one is the drug test. The drug test is involved testing the drug with the urine or the blood. But this one has a con that if you want to test people for the drug test, actually if you are accusing someone that it is a serious matter, right? You don't trust them, you think they are the addict to some drug. But there is a process as well that for the job that require lower level of the education or the lower wage, they can help reduce the discriminatory of employment decision. But before using this drug test, you must know that you have conform to some general rule that everyone must do the same thing. I mean, everyone have to take the test. And we use the drug test in the case that for the job that involves safety or the hazard, not every job that requires the drug test. And we have to respect the applicant privacy by keeping the record of the test privacy. There is an evidence in the US or in the state that adopt the law encouraging the drug testing, that the percentage of hiring the black male people increase, while the percentage of hiring the white male people stay the same. That means when you apply the drug, the company tend to trust the people without discrimination. The last one is the medical examination. This one mostly, especially required for the physically demanding job. For example, the driver, and they will look for the symptoms such as diabetes or any kind of medical record for that applicant. However, when conduct the test, make sure that you protect their privacy. The exam are related to the job requirement. If you want them to drive, just only take the skill that's related with the drive. Or you have to give them the test whenever you already offer the job. And to help save the cost for the company, we have to select the candidate first, and then conduct the medical examination later, because this one is very high cost. Okay, let's move to the interview part.
Okay, go. For the interview, we all have to pass at least one interview to stay in this class, right? So interview is the most widely used for recruitment process. It gives us the opportunity for both recruiter and candidate to exchange the information to evaluate the job qualification that match. So during the interview, we may face 4 techniques in one interview. So the first one is non-directive interview. So the interviewer going to ask you a random question based on their own preference. It can be on what is your strength, what is your weakness, what is your hobby. There is no rule in asking this question, and also no rule for answering those questions. So the reliability will be low. So you can make it up anything in this question. So, and the second one is the structured interview. Structured interview is the predetermined set of questions set before the interview. The interviewer try to avoid asking outside the set of the question. It mainly will be on the job. So it's more reliable than non-directive interview. Sorry. So, and the third one is the situation interview. The situation interview is going to ask you, they're going to create you a scenario and ask you how you're going to handle the situation. So the way you answer is going to be evaluated on your job performance in the future. the situation is going normally arise from the job that you're going to apply. So, and next one is BDI, Behavior Description Interview. So this one will be based on your experience, how you handle the situation. So this one will be more valid because it comes from your experience. So we have the variation of interview technique. One is face-to-face. It's normally going to be your supervisor or your team lead. And the next one is panel interview. Panel interview example is like MBA interview. We're going to have like many departments interviewing you from each department because you have to work with them. So normally the job will be work with many boss, many people. And the next one is computerized interview. So in order to cut the bias or subjective, the computer will help you to reduce those bias. So what are the advantages of the interview? First is around the employer to evaluate the candidate communication and interpersonal skill. Second, they can have the chance to cross-check your resume whether you fake it or not. Third, it gives you the insight of the candidate personality and interpersonal style. So it's more valid when focused on job knowledge and skill. So and come to a disadvantage of the interview. It can be unreliable, it can be biased, and it can be low in validity. So and the second one is it can be costly for the time that have to take for both employer and the candidate. Because we have to set some days for the interview, we have to give at least 1 or 2 hours for the interview. And the number 3 is some questions that interviewer asks can be outside of the job, and it can create the risk of harassment and create complaint. So how to conduct effective interview? First, we need a proper training and using a panel interview along with a structured system for scoring interview response to reduce the subjective and bias. The second one is before the interview, we have to set the goal. What do we need from this interview? What are the skills that required? And third, keep the interview narrow, structured, and standardized. And fourth is you can use the aid of technology in advance to help evaluate the response, the candidate response to be more objective. Okay, next.
So the final step of the hiring process is selection decisions. So after the candidates go through all the assessments, we need to make final decisions. Because most of the case, the qualified candidates are more than open positions. So after that, we need to communicate the offer to candidates, and including the salaries and other allowance and studying dates, and also the dates the candidates need to apply by. So to arrive at this final stage, there are 2 approaches. First one is the usual one, more usual one, multiple hurdle model. Gradually narrow the candidates, pool of the candidates, and eliminate the candidates at each stage. This approach is cost effective, but need to be careful about the sequence because it's possible to eliminate the high performer who has a low score on the ability test or first stage, but he could be actually a good performer. And another one is a compensatory model. All the candidates take all the assessments. Of course, it takes time and costs a lot, but one with a high score can make up low scores with another one. So whichever the model the company takes, the decision maker needs to have a criteria for choosing among the qualified candidates. in general, the employee performance is based on the ability and the motivation. To choose the highest score on the ability test is one of the strategy, but it's not that simple. If it's too high, the candidate, it's going to be overqualified. The job is going to be so easy for him, and he's going to get bored so soon. Similarly, the highly motivated candidates could be learn the job more very quickly, and then possibly overperforming the high score candidates. So in this case study, Marriott is focused more on the motivation or soft interpersonal skills, and Marriott knows how much important for them. And then their hiring process is very well designed for their needs. That's why Marriott is known as a great company to work for. Thank you very much.
Any question? I would like to add something according to this picture. As the group mentioned that if we use this formula that we familiar with from last term, that's when we talking about performance, it depends on ability, motivation, and also another thing is environment. Okay. So let's if you want to put environment aside, so we have ability and motivation, and it seems like what Marriott is looking for, maybe quality, something like that. They talk about like trust. They talk about empathy, right? According to information that we got. But it doesn't mean that ability is not important. But there are other HR practices that can be used to enhance ability. For example, it can be like training, something like that can be used. But I think in the case it's also mentioned that Marriott focus on hiring more for attitude than for technical skills. The reason is because attitude is very hard to change compared to technical skill. Probably technical skill is if they have ability, not ability, but if they learn, they can improve their technical ability. But for attitude, it's like deep down, it's very hard to change. Therefore, this is something like probably you haven't heard of, not only Marriott but also CP. In Thailand also have talked to, mention something about attitude. But anyway, CP also a good example of organization that did great job in HR. As customer in 7-Eleven, I always have a good experience, so it's from 7-Eleven, which is amazing how they do that. Anyway, so if you guys don't have questions for this group, let's answer question number 1. So you have 5 minutes to answer question number 1. About my housekeeper.